Good morning and happy Monday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anybody that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space, update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll get into it. Uh-oh, I see a MetaMask. Don't use MetaMask warning in the chat from Andrew Masad. What's going on with MetaMask? Sustainable Crypto said freaking MetaMask got hacked again for 245 demo. That's terrible. MetaMask is awful. All right, let's see who else is in the chat. I apologize. I just had to read that out loud real quick. Crypto for Seniors. What's up, man? Good to see you. Midwest Mining. Dom G, DHJ. What's up, man? Nerd Beast. Dumpster Fire. Carl Coat. Crypto Craig, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. Let's see who else is here. Mining to fill my bags. I love that name. That name is hysterical. Steven Cicero. Good to see you. Good to see you, sir. We have Patty Whack Miner. Solar Miner. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Happy Monday. Kyle Rosa, Carl Coat. I think I already said that. Scott Sheffield. All right. Everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's get into this. Bitcoin holding over 65,830 to be exact. We have Ethereum at 3,196. Looks pretty good. Solana, a little bit of a bounce back, 153 bucks. Looks pretty nice, actually. We have, let's see, Near is up to $6.84, up 8.11%. Caspa is actually over 12 cents, which is nice. It was down to like 11 or 10 actually this weekend. We have ETC at 28 bucks. LTC down a little bit on the day, $84. Not too bad, could be worse. ADA is actually up. It was down to like 44 cents at one point. I got some more this weekend, so I've just been kind of DCAing into it. I think it's an easy 6x. I've been saying this time and time again. 51 cents over there on that coin as of right now. Dogecoin 15 cents. Nothing else really jumping out at me, but let's check out Crypto Bubbles, see what's going on over there. Excuse me, I have like a cough this morning, so bear with me if I have to mute once in a while. Say looks like 11.9% up on the day to 66 cents. You know what, I said this last week too. I gotta look into this coin a little bit. Say is one of them coins I've been hearing a lot about, but I don't know anything about it. We have Near, again, 7.8% up on the day. That's Near Protocol, up $6.82. Pendle is up 4.3% to $6.30. We have Pepe. The Pepe token is up 6.9% on the day. WIF is down 3.6%. Bonk is down 5%. Let's see. Render, 3.2% up on the day. $9.35. Hell yeah. I got back in on that at like 7 something. I think it was like 780 or something. Pretty good pullback for that one. We had Solana again up 2% today to 154 bucks. Genosis. Yeah, Genosis. How do you say that? Ranked 96th. I don't know what this is. 372 bucks. Does anybody know what this is? Let me know in the chat. I apologize. The music's too loud. Let's see. When you say you have to look into something, it means buy. Yeah, seriously, Carl Coat. I know. And that, you know, look at it. 11.9%. Awful. Jasmy. This Jasmy coin has been one of them ones that I've gotten a little bit of it from through Coinbase. I guess it's like they're using it over in China, if I'm not mistaken, for something. I again haven't looked into it enough, but it's at 2 cents. Had a hell of a tear, to be honest, since last year. Yeah, that's really it, man. Link is up 2.7%, $15.29. Nothing really too crazy. All right, flashbang. Let's see. Fear and Greed Index at a 73. Look at that. It's pretty good. I mean, it's under 75, right? I really worry about this when it's over 75, because then I know that things about to cool off, right? As of right now, after the halving, things have been holding pretty well, and 73 is pretty good. Again, be greedy when people are fearful, and be fearful when people are greedy. Typically the best way to take that chart. All right, CoinGecko over here. Let's say the trending coins, rather. Gala, Tectum, and Parcel. That's how you say that. Parcel's up 32.1%. Damn, 69 cents. The other two are down a little bit, 1% and 4.3. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, Dogecoin, and Toncoin. Toncoin. Look at this. $6.08. $21 billion market cap, still holding in the 10th spot. We have Cardano in 11th, again 51 cents. I still think it's a decent buy. You know, I'm gonna look at Toncoin right after this, but for anybody that might be new here, I've showed this the last couple weeks. 2017 bull run, this coin pumped, right? 2021 bull run, this one pumped, and 2024 is just around the corner. We're down 80% I have an altcoin video. I point out like 5 specific altcoins that are down 80% that I think are going to do well. So feel free to go check that out. But I think this is an easy 6x, just my opinion. You guys do what you want, not financial advice. Let's see, Toncoin. I want to see what's the year, actually the max chart on this one. So 2021, it was up to $4.50, so we're past that all-time high. I wonder, what do you guys think is going to happen here? Now, is Toncoin its own ecosystem? I feel like I heard that this weekend. Again, I don't know enough about Ton. I need to look into this one as well. But it has to do with like Telegram shit, and I'm just not into Telegram. I just don't trust anything to do with Telegram ever. I don't know why. That's just how it is. I have a bad feeling about it all. All right, Shiba is down in 12th. Let's see what else. What other coins are you guys into? Looks like Avalanche having a little bit of a rise today. 4.4%, $38.99. Check out the max on this one. 2021 had a little bit of a run. A little bit, geez. 100 and something bucks. Is that the all-time high? $144. Damn, this one's down 73% as well. This might be a good buy. I wonder. Avalanche might be a good buy. I don't know. Let me know. Is anybody holding Avalanche? Let me know in the chat. Ton equals the open network, says Nerd Beast. Interesting. Is that what it stands for? Really? I didn't know that. Interesting. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. See, that's why I do this, because I learn as well. So I appreciate it. All right, let's see. ETC 28th place again. I think ETC has a good chance just because of the name Ethereum alone. Once the Ethereum ETFs come about, this coin's just gonna rise with the other ship, you know what I mean? Yes, holding Avalanche, says Max Voltage, my man, Mr. Max Voltage. Hadouken for you this morning. It's Monday morning. Mondays are always tough. All right, so let's see. 2017, we had a pump up. I mentioned this one actually as well on my altcoin video, but we had a pump in 2017, a pump in 2021. I think it's only going to get, maybe we might, I don't know if we're going to pass the all-time high, 167 bucks. I don't see why we wouldn't, but I don't see why we wouldn't at least get there, right? 83% down in ETC. I think ETC is a good buy, and I think that's going to actually carry us through the next run, or at least the altcoin market as miners, right? Caspa, I've been saying it. I still think Caspa is a good, has never seen a bull run. I still think it's right now is a great time to buy, in my opinion, just because it's down, right? It's not at the tip of a new run up, right? So it looks like it's about to get to that breaking point. Once we hit 13 cents, if it goes past 13, I think it's going to have another leg up, but we're going to have to see what happens there. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. I want to watch Mr. Crypto Zombies video today, and it's a bit long, so let's get into this. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. The most profitable miner as of today is the AL Box 360 gigahash unit. Looks like it's $103 a day. This is crazy. It's crazy this little box miner can make this much money a day. Actually, you know what? How is Lithium looking? We have to look. Lithium is down 2.2% on the day. $2.77, and it's still holding top of the charts over here. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see. Cedric said, yes, they have an app where you can buy a lot of things with your coins. They even have a smartphone. It was not fake news. Interesting. Oh, if it was not fake news. Interesting. All right, cool. I think you're talking about Toncoin, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's what I heard. It's an app where you can buy a bunch of stuff. Like it's like its own ecosystem, more or less. All right, let's go on to the Caspa miner. So Caspa miner is still top of the charts. And again, this is another reason why I think Caspa is going to do well. These miners have not tanked this project, and they've been at the top of the charts for a while. I mean, yes, the prices are going down, but over $100 a day on any of these are insane. I still think this AL box though is way too expensive. We have the KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making 103 bucks a day. The 20 terahash unit KS5 making $98 a day. The KS5L 12 terahash unit, I didn't mean to click on that, makes $55 a day. This is after 10 cents per kilowatt hour. The Ivy Link BM KS Max 11 terahash unit making 47 bucks a day. The Windminer K9 is making 46.33. The Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit is making 34.46. Let's see, the KS3M is making $23.44 a day. That's pretty bad. That one's going down pretty hard. But again, gas was only at 12 cents, so whatever. The X16P looking like 24 bucks a day. Not too bad. Shout out to Jingle Mining. They let me borrow that unit for a couple weeks, even though it was not profitable mining here at my place. It's a nice machine. It is just too expensive. The L7 9050. This is the unit I have down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. Paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour instead of the 30 I pay at my house. We have $13.82 a day is what I'm making mining Dogecoin and Litecoin. Mostly mining Dogecoin you make the most money on. Let's see. We have the, where's my S19K? Down here, looks like it's most profitable mining Digibyte now. $6.55 a day. That's a 120 terahash unit. I got one of these down at Terra Hosting as well. Let's check it out. What do we got? What do we got? Okay, wow, Digibyte's actually much more profitable. Interesting. So I have a question for you guys. Is there a site where I can auto convert from Digibyte to BTC? Does anybody know? Let me know in the chat. $13 a day on Digibyte and only $8.89 on Bitcoin. Crazy. I have mine going to Bitcoin right now on F2 pool. Man, that's nuts. That's a crazy jump. So like that's the motivation to move this stuff. I gotta move my Bitcoin miners over. Unminable does it really? All right, Crypto KJ, maybe I'll just do that then. I figured I'll just do that. All right, let's see what else. KS1. Oh my god. Oh my, awful. That is awful. The Ice River KS1 1 terahash unit is making $3.86 a day. Bruh. That's really bad. Oh god. What's the KS0 Pro? KS0 Pro 200 gigahash unit making 82 cents a day. That's terrible. All right, I have to look now. I have to look because I have a 30-cent electric rate. I'm gonna change this to 30. I have all my KS0s off, by the way, for right now. Still making 34 cents a day. That's still not bad, to be honest. Times that by 8, or actually I have 10. I have 10 of them now. Yeah, so it's not that bad. It could be worse, right? It's still $3.40 a day. If I run all those machines, I got to get them all in the solar trailer. That's why they're off. I got to do maintenance on them. That's crazy. That's crazy though. Well, you guys know Caspa has a, what is it? It's reductions like are every month. Basically, it's like a, what the hell is that word? Why can't I think of the word? Hawk, go to bed. What are you doing? Go to sleep. Why are you up right now? You're insane. Go to sleep, buddy. All right, let's check out GPUs. Let's check out GPUs. Emissions, thank you. The emission schedule, thank you. I don't know why. I'm like losing it this morning. I'm tired. Thank you, Black Hat team. The emission schedule sheds off a little bit every single month on Caspa, so that's why the prices go down on those a lot more than normal. All right, the 4090 looks like mining Nexa. Nexa's on the top of the charts. The 4090, damn. Graham and Iron Fishing Caspa Classic. We have Iron Fishing Graham on the regular 4080 Super. We have the original 4080 Nexa, Iron Fishing Graham for everything else. 4070 Ti's on Nexa as well. How's Nexa doing? Nexa pumping right now? What the hell's going on here? Let's check out Nexa. 5.29%. Look at that. See, I don't know about Nexa though. I don't know. How do you guys feel about Nexa? You guys think this coin's gonna be like a good one to hold or continue to mine? I don't know. For me, it's like I have a little of it. I don't care about it, to be honest. That's my opinion. All right, let's see. Ironfish seems to be still top of the charts for a lot of these coins. I mean, a lot of these cards, rather. We have Nexa and Chlor on the 3090 Ti. Xano on the original 3090 with Graham. Interesting. So you guys have a bit of choices to pick from today. As so it seems. Please don't mind on a laptop, but the 3070 Ti laptop's on Xano. If anybody's interested in that. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Is this Cortex? Is that what this one is? Yeah, Cortex CTXC rather is on the top of the charts for that coin. This is the A4000. I mean that card. I don't know why I keep saying coin. All right, let's check out the events calendar quick. We have Octaspace 33 hours going through a block reward reduction. I believe this is a fifth inning. 2.3 Octaspace to 1.85. This is a deep in project if you guys don't know. Keva Coins in 19 days. Pyron is in 29 days. Ethereum Classic is in 38. And then obviously you can continue to go down the list and check out all the other ones. But pretty interesting. Let's see if there's any new coins here quick. Nope, no new mineable coins as of right now. 6 days old. It's a meme. Is still top of the charts. Interesting. SHA-256 meme coin. All right, let's move on to the news of the day. Let's check out, I want to hear a little bit about Tesla's tumultuous week ahead of earnings. Let's see what they got to say about Tesla over here. There's really not too much crypto news today, but I do want to update myself on Tesla because I heard the stock was down. Guys, that like button, appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
I think the fact that we're seeing such kind of, rash moves by Musk, I think it really speaks to this idea that, oh no, things are not going well here. And we've seen in the past that when his back is up against the wall, things get really sort of hectic really fast. I think back to 2018 when he decided on a whim to tweet that, he had the funding secured to go private. We're maybe not quite to that level yet, but we are sort of approaching that level of chaos just with the amount of change happening. Some of it would...
Damn, it's down what is this down 24? Is that down $24? Is that what that is, dollar amount? And then it's down 14.3%, 5 days. That's crazy. Is this not a good buy though? Like, I feel like Tesla's only going to go up.
Which is really unsettling folks within Tesla. There's really concern about this idea that he's going so far as to put aside plans for a $25,000 car and sort of, put it all on robo-taxis, which he's been talking about for years, but which, Tesla really...
Robo-taxis. Oh my God, that's going to be terrifying.
Really hasn't made a whole lot of progress with standing up the infrastructure it needs to do that.
Is that a bet the company type move? I listened to one of his a podcast recently. He was on it playing with the soundboard, and he was talking about bet the company type moves. Is this a bet the company type move? And how do I see that if that's the case, kind of versus the earnings that we're about to get?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it is in the sense that, if you think about what a company like Waymo or Cruise has done, this is not a cheap endeavor. This is not something that you can sort of, just sort of make little bets here and there. You have to hire a whole lot of people. You have to set up infrastructure to, let's say your car, gets into a position where you need it to move out of the way for some sort of emergency. I don't know that Tesla. I don't know that Tesla has, remote operators or a system to set up, to handle that. We've seen that bedevil companies like Waymo and Cruise that have raised billions and billions of dollars, and even they have had challenges with that, and they're several years.
Listen, I'm assuming they would have sensors if they can literally turn on cameras to well, for one, to park itself, right, and two, like if somebody keys your car, the thing like automatically like records if someone gets too close. Like, I'm pretty sure they could figure out something to do with sirens. You know what I mean?
Years into testing these self-driving cars out on the road.
You got that, and then you got...
I'm with Carl Cote. He says, time to stack Tesla. FUD machines in full force.
The earnings coming up. Can I ignore the earnings?
Yeah, this is what the news stations do. They'll talk down about something, and typically that's the time to like get in on it.
If we're into this kind of stuff...
Timmy's will sell.
What are the earnings going to really tell me about what's going on in this company?
I think at this point, you almost sort of, it's a given that the earnings are not going to be good, just based on the fact that this company had really, really crummy first quarter deliveries. Nobody was expecting them to be this bad. I think the real concern for investors is, okay, so what's the plan? Are you really going to put this $25,000 car off? Are you really making this, all in on robo-taxi bet? I think, Musk has not been he's been his own worst enemy in terms of not being clear on that and sort of giving people every indication that indeed he's willing to put this $25,000 car aside and really put it all on autonomy.
You talk about the challenge around the deliveries and sales. Which part of the world is it? Because the cost cutting, it just kind of screams desperation at this point, because it's not obviously the first time. They've had multiple price cuts, and they seem to start in China and then roll them out to the US and parts of Europe. Which part of the world is looking most vulnerable to them?
I think China is the most competitive, and you hear Musk say that himself. I think that's where they brought prices down the most. I think it's also, in fairness, where they can afford to do the steepest price cuts, in the sense that their cost base there is the lowest that it is in the world. And yet, I do think that this is part of why the robo-taxi pivot is so risky. So we've seen these sort of unintended effects of slashing the heck out of your prices, what it's done to a company like Hertz. We saw the CEO essentially lose his job over it. And, that is not just something that affects, big fleet companies. That also affects your customers. What do you feel if your, Model Y that you purchased a year or two ago ago suddenly is worth, 30% less than you thought it was going to be, you're not a particularly happy camper and perhaps not inclined to buy another Tesla.
How do you
Wait. Hold on. The FUD in that entire sentence is ridiculous. When you drive a car off a lot, you lose like 30%. Like, what? Like, that is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. That is dumb. That's
in the
stupid.
EV market from the idiosyncrasies of Tesla?
It's a great question.
That's FUD at its finest.
The EV market in the U.S. it's almost entirely been a Tesla story for years now. I think that's changing. I think Tesla is still very much in control of that market. Europe is much more competitive. China is even more competitive. I do think that that's part of what's going on here too. Is that this has been a story about one company. And that is no longer the case. You have BYD really emerging in the last couple of years, and you have the sort of legacy car makers having no choice but to take EVs seriously to try and come up with some semblance of the value.
Like, look at this chart. Look at this chart, Timmy. If you don't understand, that's when you buy. When things are down, this is when you buy. Not financial advice, and I know it's not crypto, but look at this chart. Tesla's not going anywhere, period. It's not.
Valuation that Musk has achieved the last few years.
Well, the valuation is so interesting here because if I remember in 2018, it took a while for Tesla, given its massive gains, to actually be included in the S&P 500 because of the volatility clause that was built into the way indexes are made. I'm not suggesting in any way that they're going to get booted from the index. That'd be insane. But I'm curious about the read-through into the actual stock price here. Is this still a growing business that's getting more global? And is that how it's being viewed? Or are we starting to view it as kind of more fundamentally big tech and more established in that regard?
I think
exactly. Nismo Miner said, buy the losers, sell the winners. Exactly.
We've seen the Wall Street analysts sort of slowly but surely come around to this idea of, oh no, this growth company is no longer, it's run out of growth. And yeah. I think there's a concern now about, are vehicle sales actually going to drop this year? If they don't have a cheaper car on the way, are they going to drop next year? Sort of where is the bottom? And people are really
Tesla,
struggling to get a handle on that because the new product that they do have is a really difficult to make, expensive pickup truck that is also very polarizing.
They didn't say that, what was it, Exxon? Exxon's been like floating sideways forever. Just because Tesla's down doesn't mean it's going away. All right, Nvidia stock drops as chip industry moves into correction phase. Let's see what he's got to say over here about Nvidia. Let's do it.
It's been a tough week for tech, especially in the chip space. And the latest contender today, Supermicro Computer, the server company, under pressure. It's sliding because it didn't pre-announce results. It usually does, or at least the market expects it to. And this all coming after the broader semiconductor sector fell into correction this week on shifting expectations for rate cuts and disappointing results from ASML and TSMC. Now, joining us now is Bernstein senior analyst Stacey Raskin, hopefully to put all of this in perspective for us. Stacey, it's great to see you. As always, there is nearly no one I would rather speak to on semiconductors than you. So we got NVIDIA down 9% today.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
I think with NVIDIA, it's probably just Supermicro dragging the whole semi space down, and the AI names are getting hit worse. I they didn't say anything. They don't report earnings for another month, frankly. I don't think it's more than that. But I mean, if you look at
this is when Timmy's scared, by the way. Again, 70. It's down 8.84%. What is this? Intraday 74.85%. That's yeah, why
industry as a whole, you're right. Things are starting to move more into a correction phase. We had reports from players like ASML and TSMC. You have to remember, outside of AI is very strong right now. The rest of the semi industry this year is not all that great, right? PCs and smartphones, they've probably hit bottom. I don't think they're getting any worse, but they're not necessarily getting a ton better right now. Data center spending outside of AI is actually quite weak. Server CPUs and networking and that sort of thing is quite weak.
Real quick. Good morning, Geek of All Trades. Thanks for stopping by.
Industrial end markets have been very weak. Automotive, TSMC called this out. Automotive is now starting to roll over potentially. And so I think just broadly for the industry, especially given how strong it was last year, it was very strong year to date until recently. Valuations in the sector have been very high as the stocks have held up very well amid estimate cuts. I mean, I guess part of me is not incredibly surprised that things are taking a little bit of a breather as we get ready for earnings, which kicks off like in a big way next week.
So, Stacey, talk to me about the timeline then for this breather. Where are we at? Are we at the beginning of this cycle? Are we in inning 1? Are we in inning 7?
It's funny. So a lot of these companies have actually been cutting numbers for a while. Like it's not new. So like I said, PCs and smartphones, I think we're through most of it. The question now is on like the pace of the recovery. But some of the analog like games, like the industrial and the auto, and like some of these companies like Texas Instruments and some of their peers have already been cutting numbers for 3, 4, 5 quarters in a row. Like it's not like it's new. The stocks, like I said, have held up very, very well amid estimate cuts. But the semiconductor investors in general like to buy estimate cuts if they believe that the bottom is in. Usually the stocks go down first, though. Like in many cases over the last 6 months, amid some fairly sizable negative revisions, the stocks just haven't gone down. They've held up very, very well. And so I think if you're asking where are we in terms of like the numbers cuts, hopefully we're closer to a bottom to the end of it than the beginning, because it's been going on for a while. For the stocks, though, like I said, the stocks have held in remarkably, much better than I think they ordinarily would in a typical cycle. And like I said, maybe we're starting to see a little bit of a delayed reaction, but some of it's happening. There'll be some bellwethers that report next week. Texas Instruments is kind of the first large diversified guy that reports. They're on Tuesday next week. Intel in my coverage reports on Thursday. We'll get a better view on PCs and servers and those kinds of broader markets as well.
NVIDIA, though, of course, doesn't report for a while until later in May. And you still have a $1,000 price target on NVIDIA. NVIDIA has sort of successfully portrayed itself as now separate from the semi-cycle, in the different areas that you were discussing.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that the right way still to think about it?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that 80% of the revenue is data center / AI. And look, I know like it's not pretty out there today, but so far most of the signs are suggesting that AI spending is still very strong, right? I mean, again, I guess people are getting nervous from some of these. They wanted to see a positive pre for some of these names, right? But I mean, in general, the spending is strong. Even guys like TSMC like talked about AI spending like holding up. I think they even extended their view for how far out they thought it would grow. So that market seems well. And like I said, data centers for NVIDIA is 75 or 80% of their total revenues right now. So they are like sort of like uniquely concentrated in that market. The stock even is not even that expensive. I mean, if the current numbers are anywhere close, it's low 30s, like multiple, like on sort of like a calendar 25, like kind of earnings number. Like it's not even that expensive. It's way cheaper than it was actually before the run. I've actually made this point maybe with you guys before. Mm-hmm. As the stock has gone up a ton. By the stock is still up something like 50 or 60% year to date, even after today. Like it's still up a ton. The estimates have gone up like far more than the stock has even gone up, and the multiple has actually come down a lot. It's actually very, very inexpensive. If the numbers are any close to being correct. Now that's clearly the fear, right? I mean, people are nervous for a stock like NVIDIA that just the numbers have gone up so much, so quickly that sustainability is a question, and I get it. And like you sort of see this stuff sometimes with these. I'm not terribly worried about it this year. I'm not even really worried about it next year. 2026, I guess we'll see. I'm also very bullish though long term on the opportunity again for them. I still think in 5 years or 10 years. We'll be talking about numbers that are materially higher than what we're talking about today. Like, what does it look like in 2 years? I'm not sure. I don't think anybody knows. But at least for now, I think the trajectory for them should hold up. I think so.
Real quick, Jim C in the chat said, my buddy went all in on Tesla at $240 a share. Dude is really unhappy and wished he listened to me and went all in on BTC. Well, I mean, that's just because he continued to hold it. He didn't sell any of it. So that's where he lost out. But yeah, I mean, I agree. He probably should have. I mean, all right. So like, again, Bitcoin, yeah, it's crazy gains, right? But the amount of people that can afford an entire coin and get the multiple of the multiple coins, it's very few and far between, right? Tesla, if you can afford more Tesla and you can get the multiple per share, then you know what I mean, you can make more money that way. So it's, I don't know, I get it. I get what you're saying.
But a day like today, where are the retail investors that want to get in on NVIDIA when, like you say, it is at a discount?
I don't know where the real retail investors are, so I don't spend too much time or any time talking to the retail investors.
I guess
they're not my constituents.
Why is this? I guess a better way of asking you this is like, is this dip a buying opportunity for folks? And I mean, I just can't get over that it's down 9%. And we're not seeing.
And look, like I said, I think your prior guess, it's a very large market cap, very liquid stock. You know, like I said, I'm not necessarily surprised to see taking a bit of a breather. It's not even there are other things that are down more than it today. It's still up a ton year to date. It's still up a ton year over year. And if you believe in that long-term opportunity, like these are the moments, when you would want to buy it. It's always sort of funny, you know, everybody sort of looks like historically, like you had the opportunity 18 months ago to buy the stock at, I don't know what it was, $150 or whatever. And like when those sorts of things happen, like nobody ever wants to buy it.
Because everyone's scared. Again, be greedy when people are fearful. I'm going to kill this right here, though, because they're just going to continue to ramble. I don't know. You know what? Like, when you see stocks down a lot, that's probably a good time to buy. All right, let's move into videos of the day. Mr. Crypto Zombie, Bitcoin post-halving shock. Hint, it's just begun. You've been warned. Let's see what he's got to say over here on Crypto Zombie's channel. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. Links in the description. Hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
But I think actually the bigger catalyst is still with Bitcoin itself. The biggest unlock is coming probably in Q3 and Q4 when the major wirehouses turn on access to Bitcoin. So we haven't really even got through the full totality of the Bitcoin ETF launch, but there's a lot more to come on Bitcoin specifically. There's a lot of reasons to be excited. The marginal new buyers are in the ETF. Professional investors control most of the wealth. They've just started being able to access Bitcoin because of this ETF launch. Look, Bitcoin is going through both a demand shock from the launch of the ETF and a supply shock from this Bitcoin halving. Those are happening at the exact same time, and that's a really exciting setup for the next year ahead.
Perfect.
What the hell?
How many Bitcoins does it take to get some goddamn respect in this town?
What's going on, guys?
I totally thought that was a dummy.
K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Yes, I am back from Dubai.
I wonder if he knows his mic is always so loud. I don't think he knows, but man, I always got to turn it down like a quarter of the way.
And you can bet that I am very happy to not be on a plane because that was a 13.5-hour flight. And yeah, I don't really love doing that, but I am back. And what I want to talk about is Bitcoin specifically because yes, we did have the halving and that's awesome, right? But again, you know, looking at the chart, not really much happened. And this is kind of what we were saying. The halving in and of itself really isn't a major immediate catalyst. It's more of a long-term catalyst, right? And it takes a little bit for the markets to digest that. Really, we're kind of just bouncing around. And on the lower time frame, you could see that we're sort of attempting to stay above the 60. But, you know, as you could see, the last time that we lost that, we did in fact move lower. So are we still anticipating more downside for Bitcoin, or are we looking to bottom out soon? Well, you know, obviously the stock market has been falling due to the fact that we have had, you know, sort of this bad geopolitical situation happening in the Middle East. And, you know, not to freak anybody out, but there was something that has happened only 3 times in the history of the stock market. And when this did happen, the stock market fell 50%. Now, is that going to happen again? We don't know. But what would happen to Bitcoin if that was to happen? Now, obviously, that's not my main focus of today's video because really, I think Bitcoin is holding up quite well. We're still just bouncing around in this range between about 61 and 71,000. Now, there are some people that said maybe you can, you know, turn this into some kind of a bull flag. That's possible. You know, we could drag this down here and, you know, that would mean that Bitcoin could potentially continue to bounce around. Now, this would be bullish consolidation, but again, it still doesn't put that $55,000 to $58,000 area out of the cards for Bitcoin. Now, getting back to everything that's happening, the ETF, the demand, you know, it's nice to talk about these institutions and the whales and the boomers that are getting in for the first time. But I think there's a major demographic that most people are actually really forgetting about. And a lot of all of this could ultimately lead to a post-halving Bitcoin shock. And I don't think a lot of people are really ready for what could possibly happen, right? So I want to talk.
Are you guys ready?
Talk about all that, and also the fact that we've seen a lot of altcoins down. Obviously, Bitcoin gets hit, the altcoins get hit harder. And I think
real quick, Elvidus said, I'm waiting for a 50% dip. You think it's going to go down 50%? I think you're smoking that good stuff because I don't know if it's going to go down that far.
there's a lot of potential opportunities in the market, and I do want to talk about that at the end of this video. So there is a lot of content to digest in today's video, and if you're going to watch any video, you know, this week, I highly suggest you watch this video all the way to the end. We have so much to go over, guys.
All right, he's gonna shill something right here, I think. Yeah. So it seems like, anyways. All right.
So, talking about the Bitcoin halving, like Crypto Rand pointed out. First of all, here's an interesting statistic. Rather than looking at the all-time high price for Bitcoin or the lows of Bitcoin, he looked at just the price of Bitcoin on the days of the halving. So on the first halving in 2012, the price of Bitcoin was about $2.13. It had a 9,500% increase that cycle. So $12. The second halving, it went to $648 with a 3,000% increase. Then it went to $8,560 with an 861% increase. And obviously on this halving, we were sitting around $63,600. Now, obviously we don't...
Real quick before he continues, if you guys didn't know, the block rewards were absolutely insane on the day after the halving or the following days, right? It was a couple days, or maybe it was just like a day and a half or something, but the reward seems to have came down, right? If you look right here, we're at what, 840,340, right? That's the block we're on now, and the reward is 4.8. Let's see if we go back a bit. You can continue to scroll through this back to when it gets closer to the halving. Watch that reward column there. That's this one right here, right? Watch how crazy it gets back, like right after the halving. I think that's why we haven't really seen a crazy dip in anything yet. If you look, everyone's saying it's like ordinals and runes, and look at this, like friggin' 12, 14 Bitcoin in that block. Like, look at this. All these blocks, like, it's like the halving never even happened. They're all over 6, right? Look at this. 16, 17 Bitcoin, 16 Bitcoin. It's crazy. The couple block, or the blocks after, like a day and a half after, were just absolutely absurd. Look at this. 21 Bitcoin, 24 Bitcoin. Crazy. I think 43 was the one. Oh, whatever. I don't know what the hell just happened. Anyways, I think 43 was the halving that actually, like the last block at the halving. It was crazy.
Know what this cycle is going to be, and there are a lot of people that are calling for diminishing returns. Now, that theory could get shattered because of what's going on right now with the ETFs and all of the different people that are interested. So again, if you guys are looking to trade, just wanted to point out that you
thought I caught everything. Apparently not.
And you had Matt Ballensweg over here from BitGo, the Go network at BitGo, and he was kind of breaking that down. Now stick around because we have a lot more to say after this clip.
Look, short term, I think the Bitcoin's has performed really well over the last few months. Obviously, since the dawn of the 9 new Bitcoin ETFs that started trading a few months ago, we've seen massive new demand from the institutional part of the market, and so that's I think allowed for a pretty meaningful runoff in the price of BTC. It's not going to be crazy, right? If Bitcoin needs to cool off a little bit here, the market might be a little overheated. We're seeing some just potential ambiguity on a macro level, right? With just when interest rate cuts might happen on one side, and then also the global conflict that's happening in the Middle East right now. So I think you kind of have the tale of two stories here, right? There's ambiguity in terms of the macro picture of how that's going to impact Bitcoin right now, but you still have this kind of surging in longer term net new demand on the institutional side of the market through these 9 new ETFs. It's been one of the most successful ETF launches of all time. We've seen $12.2 billion in aggregate net inflows. That's even accounting for the outflows from Grayscale's GBTC. And I really think we're just getting started here in terms of true institutional adoption and now access to Bitcoin on a global scale. So, I think short term, there's some macro catalysts here that will likely kind of make this market a little choppy. There might be some near term volatility here. But long term, I do think it's going to be, the little engine that could. I think it'll continue chugging along, and I think 2024 will end up being a pretty good year for BTC.
So for everybody that's been freaking out about, it seems like it's slowed down or something like that, here is seriously the institutional inflows. Now, obviously, Grayscale, Big Red, we've seen.
Real quick, Steven Cicero said, I'm still getting more than half a payout after the halving. They said it would probably be the normal just because of the fees. Yeah, you know what? I was talking to Fully Electric about that, and the fees have been like increasingly going up every halving, and it's kind of troublesome because I'm a little worried about just holding it super long term and what's going to happen. Like, you know, say, I don't know, 10 halvings from now when I go to sell, how high are the fees going to be on that Bitcoin? Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing that really makes me nervous about it.
Seen a couple reds in the past week, right? You saw ARK having a little bit of an outflow, in BitB, but BlackRock has been heavily accumulating. And yes, you could say that maybe the volumes aren't as aggressive as they were, in the beginning. We are still seeing inflows. Right here, you could see 15,421, okay? This is trumping, everything else, and really it's almost balancing the GBTC outflows. So this chart to me is telling me that the institutions are still interested. Maybe we just took a little bit of a hit with everything going on in the Middle East and obviously the stocks falling, but we're not seeing outflows, not major outflows, and we're not seeing any from BlackRock at all, which we obviously know is like the granddaddy of the ETFs. Now, if we come over here and have a look at what Matt Hogan was saying, obviously ignoring the short term is important, but we've barely even started when you consider the possibilities of the inflows. And I think people are going to be very surprised about what is going to end up happening because we're...
I'm going to call out Crypto Zombie right now. He's logged in. You can see it says up there, his little logo. He doesn't like the video and he doesn't subscribe to the channel. What the hell? Why do people do that? I don't get it.
Seeing it kind of, not taper off, but kind of roll over to a peak. But what they're not realizing is what Matt is about to say. So he's going to talk obviously about the short term, but I want you to listen to when he goes in about the institutions and why really not being bullish right now would be quite silly.
There are a lot of cross currents in Bitcoin's price right now. There's ETF demand, there's the halving, there's tax-related selling, and of course, there's these geopolitical events. I think you can try to read too much into the short-term trading activity. It's better to pan out. If you look big picture, it's done a great job of protecting us against inflation post-COVID. I think eventually it will be a good hedge against geopolitical disruptions, but it's a bit too much to ask for Bitcoin to both be a perfect risk-off asset and deliver exponential returns. It's an emerging risk-off asset. When it gets to be fully mature and is a perfect hedge for the events like we saw in Iran and Israel over the past week or so, those exponential returns will be gone. So I think you have to keep that big picture in mind. Bitcoin is still growing into what it will eventually be. But I think actually the bigger catalyst is still with Bitcoin itself. The biggest unlock is coming probably in Q3 and Q4 when the major wirehouses turn on access to Bitcoin. So we haven't really even got through the full totality of the Bitcoin ETF launch. I think we will get an Ethereum ETF eventually. I think it'll be, maybe later this year, maybe early next year, and that will be exciting as well. But there's a lot more to come on Bitcoin specifically. There's a lot of reasons to be excited about Bitcoin specifically before we move on to the next thing. What ETFs have done is they've unlocked the ability for professional investors to access this market. It's very difficult for endowments, for advisors, for family offices to buy buy Bitcoin on an app. It's much easier in an ETF. So I think the marginal new buyers are in the ETF, right? Professional investors control most of the wealth. They've just started being able to access Bitcoin because of this ETF launch. So I think that's where the marginal activity will take place. But of course, you'll see Bitcoin being bought directly as well. Look, Bitcoin is going through both a demand shock from the launch of the ETF and a supply shock from this Bitcoin halving. Those are happening at the exact same time, and that's a really exciting setup for the next year ahead.
So it takes time, guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, as soon as all the other institutions rather allow the allocation of Bitcoin, it's going to be huge. Like right now, it's just the big guys. They need to have some track record performance of Bitcoin doing well with the big guys before they're willing to, open the doors to their clients and their small little firms. You know what I mean?
Right? Unfortunately for these bigger players, they're not looking at the charts like we are. They're not trying to time the dips and all that. They just want to see a proven track record before they provide this to their clients. Now, obviously, as an OG in crypto, I suppose I'm an OG. I mean, I've been around for 8 years. I guess that's enough to say you've gone through 2 cycles. I'm my 3rd, so I suppose that, you know, you do get some of that PTSD. And, you know, again, you know, we really haven't seen more than these sort of 20% pullbacks, right? And if we go to what we just had recently from top to bottom, we had about, there you go, we got our 20% pullback. We actually had Bitcoin over here on CME, for example, pull down to about 59,750. Now, it is interesting to see how we've actually had that bought back up. This isn't like the greatest candle. I'm not like jumping for joy over this, but it is showing that there is buying pressure, and you know, the wick on the bottom is longer than the wick on the top, which shows that even though this was a bit of a turbulent week for Bitcoin, there was more on the inflows versus the outflows. But one of the questions is, you know, and I'm only saying this because I want you to be prepared, but what if we don't get these 30%, 40% pullbacks like we normally do? Because if we come over here, we had the new CEO of Kraken discussing the fact that maybe the volatility is going to be dampening with these bigger players, and there could be a possibility that we don't get those big pullbacks. Now, of course, take it with a grain of salt, because I still, you know, I've seen some crazy stuff, but he's saying maybe that's not going to happen anymore.
I'm wondering specifically when it comes to Bitcoin ETF, if that in and of it, I mean, if adoption of the ETF, if adoption of Bitcoin and just more holders out there, if that inherently dampens volatility.
Well, it does. I mean, certainly, the more holders, the more liquidity in the system, both those holding and those transacting and those trading, all of these aspects actually do reduce volatility over time. And so the reality is, while Bitcoin crypto is still volatile, they're not as volatile as they were 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And so we do see that coming down over time as adoption grows. Now, it is still an incredibly innovative technology with a lot of new things happening in the space. And so it's not as if volatility is going away completely, but it is coming down generally over time. So the general trend is for the price to go up, and the general trend is for volatility to go down again over the multi-year period.
So who knows? Yeah, maybe we don't get those corrections. And
I mean, you guys have always seen that. You've seen that curve in Bitcoin, right? Or like the amount that it's actually risen in between each halving. It's like, you know, it started at like thousands of percents, and then it went to hundreds, and now it's like tens of percent, right? It's going to slow down as it goes because the number is getting higher.
I mean, I'm not saying I would hope for them, but, you know, it's sad, it's bittersweet to see the price moving without having those opportunities to accumulate, right? I kind of want to buy some more Bitcoin, you know, around 50. I mean, I don't know about you. I would like to get a little bit more before it takes off, which I believe.
Now, what do you guys think, just for fun, right? I'm going to kill this poll in the chat. What do you guys think about, like, what's the next coin that people are going to, like, go after heavy? Because think about it, right? Bitcoin's going to be almost unobtainable for a lot of people when it gets to I mean, it's already at a certain price point, right? It's like 65K. It's already hard to buy an entire coin for the average Joe, right? Most people don't have $1,000 in the bank for an $1,000 emergency, right? What's going to be the next coin, in your opinion, that's going to like explode, that people are going to want to get into, right? Before it does that, you need something like Bitcoin was back then. Now, so let me know in the chat. I'm just curious to know
if it's taking off. I don't think this is the top at all. There's nothing on the charts. I'll show you in a bit, but you know, this is a little bit scary. So, you know, Matt Ryan Case, he just pointed out that if you look at the yield curve, okay, it has been inverted for over 500 days. Now, this has only ever happened 3 times in history.
If it was Doge, I wish it was Doge. Someone said Doge in the chat. That's funny. If it was listen, I wish it was Doge, but no way in hell. No way in hell. It needs like real utility. I mean, it's just a meme coin at the end of the day. Caspa, a lot of people saying ETC, Ethereum. See, the only thing that makes me nervous about Ethereum is it's not limited. It's infinite. All right, you can continue to print coins. So like if the government wants to squeeze Vitalik, you know, he's gonna print more, or he's gonna make more somehow, I'm sure. Doge, DJ, you would say that.
1929.
Solana, maybe.
Great Depression. I think you guys
see like the difference between Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Like Ethereum and Solana, like they're like networks people are building on. I guess Bitcoin's kind of, but I don't know. It's a little different for me, right?
Remember that 1974. and 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so this is a little bit scary to see this happening again, because in all these instances, we had over a 50% stock crash. Now, are we going to see that happen this time around? I don't really know. Because if you think about it, we've had the Fed literally raising rates nonstop and keeping them at higher rates for 2 years, and yet we've seen stocks increasing and Bitcoin doing absolutely amazing in a tightening environment. So it does make you wonder, even if something did hit the fan, right, and they did start to ease up, wouldn't that just mean they would turn the money printer on? I think a lot of people may actually run to Bitcoin. And again, I was going to get to that, demographic in just a bit, but you had guys like Peter Schiff, and I know I should probably stop giving this guy attention. I should just ignore him and mute him, but it's hilarious because he literally says gold closed the week above 2,390, its highest weekly close ever. At the same time, you're seeing Bitcoin down 6%. So I decided to reply to Peter on Twitter, and just to put this into perspective, this is the gold Bitcoin chart since 2015. Okay, so this is gold versus Bitcoin. You can see right here. You just do, instead of like BTC USD, you do gold BTC. This, my friends, this is what Peter is celebrating over. Literally that little, this is the big gold celebration. So yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like a lot of just cherry picking to me. And I would just ignore it, although it is hard to ignore because I do like to prove him wrong and tell him how he's wrong. But this is Randy Hipper. I'm moving on. You might know her.
There she is, Randy Hipper. We're going to raid her right after this, actually. She goes live at 9:45.
She used to be Miss Teen Crypto. I think she just rebranded to her full name because I think she's like 21 now. I've actually been on her show before. She's really cool. You should check her out. So Randy Hipper was over on Fox Live, and she kind of represents the Gen Z. I'm a millennial, right? She's Gen.
You know what, Randy? To give her like huge props, she is. What was that noise? She is very good at speaking and going on the news station and having like speaking in front of people. Like I'm in front of a camera. It's totally different. Like she's so good with speaking in public. It's crazy. So huge shout out to her for sure.
And she was talking about how, ultimately Gen Z is kind of fed up, with the current system. And, I wanted to point out that it's not just institutions, but we have an entire group of people growing up in a digital era. They're smarter now. They're more financially literate. You could joke about the TikTok finfluencers, whatever you want to call them, but they're a lot smarter than people give them credit. I'm going to play the clip, and then
she showed up in the chat. This is Zombie's video. It is, and he's mentioning you. So shout out to you, Miss Randy Hipper, being amazing.
I know there are concerns about inflation and all these other things, but what your generation, what's going on? Like these sort of events, it doesn't help, right?
Absolutely not. I think a lot of kids are suffering from anxiety as it is, and then you go and you have the economy where they're going outside and they can't even live. Then you have the reason of inflation, all these wars going on, where now the American dream, like I mentioned last time with you, is dying, and these kids, they're just kind of doomsday spending, because why not have fun now if I may not be able to do that later on in life? We've been using digital currency since we were younger, buying iTunes gift cards, taking that virtual money, buying virtual currencies, buying virtual items within games. This is nothing new to us, but now we own it. We're empowered by it. We're able to be our own bank, transact 24/7, 365 with no censorship and cross-border. What's better than that?
So you got to think to yourself that any young person growing up today, any kid in this world who is 15 years or younger has literally grown up in a world where Bitcoin has existed. They've grown up in a world with iPhones and digital transactions. So it only makes sense that when you're dealing with this inflationary environment where you can't even barely afford to live, it only makes sense to take back some of that power with something like Bitcoin. And I believe that, you will see at some point, and we're already starting right now, that there's going to be nobody in the future that doesn't have some percentage of their portfolio allocated to Bitcoin, whether it be...
That's so true. And huge Hadouken to Miss Randy.
1, 5, 10%, whatever
Good
it is.
job.
I believe that it's going to
Killed
be
it.
irresponsible to not have Bitcoin in your portfolio moving forward, right? So that's pretty much where and here's just like a little crazy side story before I want to get into the charts. But you know, I graduated. I'm a little old, so you could do the math. I graduated high school in 2005, right? Now, when they had asked me, what do you want to do for a living? So YouTube had basically just come out, and the idea of being an influencer was actually hilarious, right? Whereas now it's like people, they want to be an influencer. I don't like being called an influencer. I just like to share my stuff. So YouTube basically just came out, let's just say didn't exist, and Bitcoin wouldn't have been around for another 4 years. So the two things that I actually do for a living didn't even exist. Okay, so you have to think about how crazy, how crazy things are moving forward and the opportunities. And I just see Bitcoin again as that sort of standard in the future for Gen Z and everyone moving forward. So let's start looking at the S&P real quick, and then I'm going to go into some altcoins after this. But as you guys can see, the
Oh, Max in the chat just said, I'm a little old. Oh my God. Wow. I feel ancient. Max, when did you graduate? Please tell us in the chat. He's going to tell me it's before I was born. Please put it in the chat, Max. When was it?
S&P is...
You're not ancient, by the way. And if you are, you've aged very well.
Losing, it came up here, it broke above its parallel channel, and now it's falling down. But the and obviously it's been probably contributing, I'm sure, to Bitcoin as well. But what's interesting is you could see that the S&P
1986. That's 2 years before I was born.
He has had 6 straight days of red. Whereas even though, yes, the Bitcoin price, has not been as high as it was, Bitcoin is not correlating exactly with the stock market the way that it normally would. We've had 3 green days, right? Before we had another red day. And of course, going back to the monthly, just pointing it out, Bitcoin has never had 8 straight months of green. And it looks like we're probably not going to have 8 straight months of green again. So we were talking about this actually last month, that I wasn't going to be surprised if we did see a red month for Bitcoin, and that's exactly what we're seeing it. But obviously going to the the parabola here, we are still in
Max says, wow, I hate you all in the chat.
This parabolic channel, right? And maybe we touched it, I don't know, you could play with this line, but for the most part we still remain in constructive price action, right? And it doesn't take out of the cards that we could come down here, retest the bottom of this parallel channel.
DJ, I graduated the same year as you, 2007.
Another area just of interest, and I'm not trying to be a bear, I'm just saying, we have this area right here of around this sort of 52,000 to the top of this to, sort of 55. So, could we see some type of an area of interest, right in here for Bitcoin? Absolutely. And, that would be as expected. But again, maybe we don't have that, 30% pullback. But the thing I was looking at...
See, I wouldn't be mad about that pullback. I mean, like, people are really going to freak out if it goes down to 30s, right? I really wouldn't be mad, though. I'd want to buy more.
And, again, I'm not trying to say we have to go down, but, the stochastic RSI is moving to the downside. And we generally don't see continuation to the upside until we get that curvature. So we're only about halfway to 75% down. Now, keep in mind, if Bitcoin continues to just...
Oh, that's kind of neat. So that's the stochastic RSI?
Consolidate sideways. This doesn't mean we have to go down to some of these lower levels, but what it is suggesting is there may be a little more time bouncing around in this area before we can actually successfully, conclude the fact that Bitcoin has come to a concisive bottom. I feel like I put a lot of big words in that sentence right there. So, obviously having Bitcoin consolidate around here, maybe retest, the blue zone that we talked about, would still maintain that constructive upwards price action. So I wouldn't be jumping for joy, assuming that we're going to go to the moon. I think there's still going to be a little bit of consolidation. Of course, maybe tomorrow we wake up and I'm totally wrong and Bitcoin's back above 70,000. It could happen. It's just right now on the lower time frames, it's not really, this is weekly, so I guess that's not a lower time frame, but on the stochastic, meaning in the next couple days to a possible week, you may see sideways to even downwards, having some of those areas coinciding again with that 57K area. My lowest level I think you'd see Bitcoin is 48. That's the old 0.618. But again, I'm just going to say as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the more likely scenario is to consolidate sideways, potentially tapping around, I'll say 52K. So you know what, fine, I guess you could hit 48 because you could get a wick. You can always get a wick and then someone's like, see, I told you. It's like, yeah, but what? We were there for like a day. maybe we go to 48,000 for a day, but I don't think it's going to stay there. And I think you're going to see a weekly close back above the 0.618 personally, which I think then would be constructive to the continuation of the price action, because what we have right now is all of these moving averages almost in consecutive order, which I will mention that in just a second. I'll tell you why this is a little interesting. So, previously you have the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 21 exponential. And once you get above this 21 exponential, you tend to stay above it for a very, very long time. And,
so these are weekly candles he's looking at here. Each one of these candles represent an entire week.
Obviously, falling below this, that's when you fall into that bad territory. So we got above that, and we've been above that since October of last year. And look, even when we had this 20% crash, this sell the news event, from the ETFs, we still didn't even touch that level. The only thing that we don't have yet is we are basically, what you want to see is you're looking for a golden cross. So you're going to want to see this 100 coming up like this and crossing the 200. And once you get that golden cross, that's like full-on confirmation that you're probably got a lot more left of this cycle. Obviously, that may not happen until the summertime, but I will let you know. But ultimately, it is.
Hey, you know what? There's a saying: "Sell in May and go away." And that's, you're not wrong, Yusuf. I've heard that a lot before.
Curving up. So the fact that all of the moving averages they're all curving upwards. Like right here, you see this is starting to curve downwards. That's not good. Curving downwards. That's not good. These are all curving up. So it's still showing that the momentum should continue to be to the upside. And I believe that we're in a similar area that we were right back here in November of 2020, where we're consolidating underneath the previous all-time high. And we're also in between the two major moving averages of the pi cycle indicator. So you can see right here, we're having a very similar situation that we're having right here. So again, just to stress, I believe all dips are for buying. Okay, so dips are for buying, guys.
This is why I like watching his channel, because he breaks out charts like this that I've never seen before. I've never seen this paper right here.
Financial advice. Now you want some crazy numbers? Listen to this price range. Listen to this price range from eCoin Metrics. If we look at it compared to the trajectories of the first, second, and third halving, this is crazy.
That's insane.
The lower band would put Bitcoin at around $140,000 this cycle. You guys ready for this? The upper band would put Bitcoin between around $4.5 million per coin. So, they're giving a price range of between 100.
That's a crazy. That's like that. They took a handful of darts all at the same time and went like this. Just solid stick to the wall, and they hit certain numbers, and that was it. But that'd be amazing.
$140,000 to $4.5 million this cycle. Take that with a grain of salt. I just wanted to share this.
Please take that with a grain of salt. That is not going to happen anywhere soon or anytime soon. Okay, look. Yeah, that's no. Look at the timeline is 2025. That's literally next year. Not a chance. Not a chance. It's going up to $1 million next year. That's crazy.
With you, so
get about 4.
Basically anywhere. Bitcoin could go literally anywhere. Obviously our base price is around 100 with our max around 250, but average being around the 140. But again, looking at these altcoins, the altcoins do look like they are entering sort of this phase back here. Right where we're starting to get this RSI getting up here, and again, this can stay overheated a lot longer than people think. And I mean, look at where the money flow is right now. Only sitting at about right here. So to put that into perspective,
the VWAP's coming up too, starting to curve. Money flow still in the green.
You see this right here. Where we are right here with the altcoins is about where we, theoretically were here.
This is weekly.
So from that point, that gave the overall total market cap about almost a 1,000% increase, right? And I believe that you could see a lot of that.
We might get half of that, right?
Happen with the altcoins this cycle. So just going over some of the altcoins that I've been looking at recently, Gearbox is actually one that I don't believe I spoke about on the channel just yet, but this is a very interesting product.
Ogre says, let's see, once the IRA and the other retirement funds start flowing in 4 years, I can see BTC hitting $1 million. Yeah, I mean, you might not be wrong. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this. Actually, I don't know what he starts talking about here, but he's bringing up some a bunch of stuff like altcoins and shit that I really don't want to get into or shilling stuff on the channel. But let's move on to Lark Davis. The Bitcoin halving happened. Now watch. I haven't had a chance to watch this either. Guys, the like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. We're gonna raid Miss Randy Hipper right after this, so let's do it.
Well, it happened. The Bitcoin halving is here. Congratulations! Woo!
He popped a seltzer.
And drink to that.
He
now, if
spilled
this
it
is your
on
first
himself.
rodeo, then let's talk about the Bitcoin halving, what it means for the market.
At least he noticed.
All of me here. And what it means in the
he called it out. He fucking spilled it everywhere.
new
Oh,
reality
that
of
was
what
great.
it means for the supply of Bitcoin. Because, yeah, at the most simple level, the block rewards given to miners were just cut in half from 6.25 coins per block every about 10 minutes to 3.125 coins per block about every 10 minutes. Or said another way, the daily supply of coins goes down from 900 coins to 450 new coins being produced by miners every single day for the next 4 years. Whoop-de-doo, right? Who cares? Well, Bitcoin halving has been one of the most important events in the cryptocurrency market since the inception of this entire asset class even started. It has been our North Star in times of darkness and fear. We've had the Bitcoin halving to look forward to, and it has also been our rocket fuel when the good times come back. So
It's also like a very uneventful time, right? It's like literally watching the ball drop when nothing happens. It's just like, yay, it's done. Okay, bye. Like this, that's it. But it's just, I don't know.
throw
Whatever.
some numbers, some charts at you here in this
Takes a
video.
little bit to kick in.
Because the Bitcoin halving, this is the true start of the crazy times in the market. In fact, the supply crisis issue that's going on right now is getting so crazy that big banks are starting to reach out to Bitcoin miners directly to try and get their hands on coins.
Are they really? That's weird.
The OTC desks are running out. The amount of available
I mean, it makes
coins on
sense, but-
Coinbase cratering back to 2015 levels and only going down. Do you see the problem here? The supply.
Well, that's actually, you know what? I just realized that's why BlackRock's investing into the big mining facilities, because they want to have dibs on, you know, fresh Bitcoin that's coming into the market. They don't want to have to deal with just Coinbase all the time, right? Buying it from the over the counter. It's hard.
Crisis was here before the Bitcoin halving. Now the supply crisis is getting much, much worse. And I know that Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high price before the Bitcoin halving did make this time different. But that price action does not change the reality of the economic tsunami coming for crypto. Any short-term price fluctuations up or down in the next few days, it's just noise. It doesn't really matter because we are in the big game now. The big boy pants are on. The demand is surging, and the emission of new coins just got cut in half.
Yep.
The effect of that's not overnight. So don't expect Mega Moon tomorrow. But in the coming
Exactly.
weeks
It takes a couple
and
weeks.
months, the impact will become very, very apparent. Now, from the first halving to the first major price peak, we saw a 95x gain. From the second halving to the cycle peak, we saw a 30x gain. From the third halving to the 69K peak in 2029, we saw a 7x move. Law of diminishing returns seems to be in effect. Maybe. A Fibonacci projection gives us a likely top of about $210,000, maybe $250K in late 2025, Pico top, which makes a lot of assumptions, of course, such as the 4-year cycle actually staying true, that this is not an accelerated cycle, or that it's not a super cycle and goes way longer than people think it will, that the ETF demand is adequately bullish to keep pushing us up to those high prices, and perhaps that this projection is simply not bullish enough and that the price is going to break the Fibonacci line at 3.618 and go way higher, $500,000 Bitcoin this cycle. You will see those insane numbers being thrown around pretty soon. I don't discount the possibility, but I also want to put out a warning here. I don't want to succumb to irrationally bullish thoughts when the charts are showing something different. I want to see what I'm seeing, not what I want to see. That, by the way, would only be about a 200% return from the halving price to the peak if we got up to around 250K, which would be a significantly diminished return compared to previous cycles, simply because the price at halving was so much higher than we had previously seen it. Okay? But perhaps that means no one is bullish enough, including me. And maybe we're just going so much higher than anybody actually anticipates. By the way, if you're holding altcoins, then get ready, because the total altcoin market cap went up about 2,000% From the Bitcoin halving to the peak last cycle.
That's insane. Joker Miner, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, dude. You're awesome. Keeping the stream alive. He said, Alan the King got one. Automatic Beats, Drew and Mike live. We have Michael Stewart and Game with Smokey Dan. Congrats, guys.
Meaning you
thank you very much, Joker.
Throwing a dart at a board.
Yeah, that's crazy. Altcoins are, what do you guys think? I feel like things are just going to go freaking wild with altcoins. But certain altcoins, not all. Maybe all, though. I mean, he's talking about last time when everything moves. And I mean, I think everything will move, but like there's going to be certain select fews that will move more than others, you know?
Then from the Bitcoin halving to the peak last cycle, meaning you could have basically thrown a dart at a board with different altcoin names on it and nailed pretty much a 20x just by buying and holding any.
He's not wrong. Everything
the
did
same
go up.
thing will probably happen this time, although maybe only 300 to 400% total market cap gain for all altcoins. Again, diminishing returns are in effect, but adding $2 trillion to the total market cap of altcoins, or more, maybe $2.5 trillion, will mean that things will pump way more than you think. It'll be way crazier than you can possibly imagine right now. Up your targets. Now, before I break down the insane demand that will drive prices so much higher this cycle, I wanted to let you know about my newsletter. Look.
Let's skip over that. Mr. Andrew Masad, appreciate you as well. Perfect. Gifted 1 membership to Scott A. Congrats, buddy. Dude, thank you very much. You guys are awesome. You didn't have to do that. All right, let's skip forward a little.
Up. Now, let's talk about the demand factor. Because even before the Bitcoin halving, the Bitcoin ETF was driving wild demand. And yes, it's not a constant. We have had about $13 billion in total positive inflows into Bitcoin ETF products. That's new money entering after excluding the $15 billion that left from the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF fund and largely went into other ETFs. But that $13 billion number is insane because that's about 216,000 new coins worth of demand. Spot ETFs currently hold 827,000 Bitcoin.
Damn.
There has been a lot of flow from Grayscale to BlackRock, Grayscale to Fidelity, Grayscale to ARK as people reposition to more cost-efficient ETFs. Grayscale's fees are too high, but 216,000 new Bitcoin is an insane number. Let's just look at the 100 days from January 11th until the Bitcoin halving. That's an average of 2,160 BTC per day in demand from Bitcoin ETFs in the USA. And this number includes weekends. If we exclude the weekends, the public holidays, when the ETFs don't actually trade, then the actual per day demand during actual trading days is actually much higher. But let's just use 2,160 as an easy reference. During that whole period, Bitcoin ETFs on Wall Street have daily bought 2.5 times as much Bitcoin as miners were actually producing on a daily basis every single day. Some days more, some days less. We had $1 billion day and a $50 million day, but insane demand overall. If we can see these numbers continue for the rest of the year, then that's wild. That's wild.
Fully Electric said, last bull run, Firo didn't move much at all. Is that what you're saying? I was on top chat for. Sorry. Just saw it.
Because remember, from today onwards, miners are now only producing 450 Bitcoin a day. Wall Street demand, if it stays the same, is nearly 5x this number. And this is only US Bitcoin ETFs, nothing else accounted for, not accounting for any other spot buyers on Coinbase or anywhere else. The new ETF reality is insane when combined with the reality of the halving. This is a once-in-a-market liquidity event running into a bullish supply reduction mechanism, and demand is only going to pick up. Check this out because this is mind-blowing. South Korea is very likely going to be bringing out a Bitcoin ETF sooner rather than later. It has literally become a campaign issue in South Korea. People want Bitcoin ETFs and they are going to get them. South Korea is a crypto crazy nation, one of the wealthiest nations in the world. So I expect them to be popular when they get released. Then there's Hong Kong. Hong Kong regulators literally asked companies to come in and file for an ETF, and companies did just that. Here's two of the biggest. We have the $230 billion Harvest Fund, and we have the $284 billion China Southern Fund. These are huge companies. They've both applied for Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong. It's literally just a question of when, not if, these are getting approved, since, again, the regulators literally invited institutions to come in and apply because they wanted to get these products out on the market. This is opening the funnel for mainland China money and of course Hong Kong money to get into Bitcoin. Huge demand potential,
That's
billions
giant.
coming from this source
That's
alone.
really big.
London, they came out and confirmed the launch of a Bitcoin ETN, basically a Bitcoin ETF, a spot Bitcoin-backed product on May 28th. Another major market from one of the world's biggest economies turning on the spigot.
Man, I don't want to wish away time, but like 5 years from now, can you guys imagine how crazy it's going to be? How like much adoption for Bitcoin there's going to be?
Putting on the open sign, whatever you want to call it, for Bitcoin. Over in Germany, $900 billion German financial giant DWS is launching a Bitcoin ETC. Again, basically an ETF, a spot-backed Bitcoin stock-traded product launching on the German stock exchange. Again, just one of the biggest economies in the world, one of the biggest financial institutions in the country, rolling out the orange carpet for Bitcoin. Australia's Bitcoin ETF, rumored to be deploying soon as well. Brazil, Germany already have them. All these countries rolling out spot Bitcoin ETFs, this will add a whole new vector of demand. And while I doubt they will match Wall Street, they don't have to. Even if they buy 1/5 as much as Wall Street, all those combined, the UK, China, whatever, then they will absorb all of the daily production from Bitcoin miners. Crazy.
Oh, shit. That's crazy to think about it like that.
No one is bullish enough. Wall Street.
Did you guys hear what he said? Excuse me. Did you guys hear what he said on that? Listen to that again.
1/5 as much as vector of demand.
Listen to this.
And while I doubt they will match Wall Street, they don't have to. Even if they buy 1/5 as much as Wall Street, all those combined, the UK, China, whatever, then they will absorb all of the daily production from Bitcoin miners.
That's crazy.
No one is bullish enough.
That's
Wall
crazy
Street,
to think
where are they
about.
going to get their Bitcoin? Where are you going to get your Bitcoin? Countries, where are they going to get their Bitcoin? Sovereign wealth.
That's nuts. That's nuts, dude. Lark dropping facts.
Health funds out there rumored to be buying up huge amounts of coins right now. Billionaires, millionaires. There's just not enough. Demand is surging to unprecedented levels.
So true.
And the Bitcoin protocol just decided to cut the emissions in half. Of course, it's all programmed in, but it's crazy bullish when you understand the fundamental realities of everything I've just said. Happy Bitcoin halving, everybody.
That's insane. Shout out to Lark. If you guys aren't subbed to him, go check him out. Link is in the description below. Sorry, my throat is killing me today. All right, let's get to the recap of things. If anybody's just joining for any reason, Bitcoin is over $66,000. The market, I think, is opening up right now. It's 9:30 for ETFs, so we're going to see what happens. Ethereum 3202. Looking pretty good. We have Solana over 150 bucks, 154. ADAs at 51 cents. I bought some at 44 cents this weekend. Man, my throat is killing me. We have LTC $84, ETC's at 28 bucks. I think once the Ethereum ETF kicks off, ETC is going to jump, which in my opinion. Caspa is going to do great things, hopefully. I can't wait till the smart contracts come, but we're at 12 cents as of right now. Let's see. ICP's down 1.35% to $15. I don't know if anybody's into ICP. Matic, I have a little bit of this, 74 cents. Let's see. Dogecoin 16 cents. The Pepe is actually up a lot today. It's 8.89%. You know, maybe I should sell some of that because that's crazy. Render also actually $9.41, up 4.91%. Not too bad. Let's see. Everything's looking pretty good. Market's coming back. Seems to be anyways. Let's see. How are we doing today? Lazarus, what's up, man? Doing all right. Hanging in there. Kids always getting me sick. You know how that goes. That's why now I understand why Panda's always sick. That's what happens if kids just cesspool of germs always. Oh man. All right, let's see. Anything else you guys want to look at quick before we get out of here? How's Hive Mapper doing actually? And Neox, I'm gonna look up in a second. I'm thinking about switching my rigs today. Hive Mapper 11 cents, 11.5 cents, just about. We're looking pretty decent actually. It was they were, let's see, actually, what was the max? Max like 38 once they were 32 maybe? I thought it was 38 cents. 37 cents, 37.5, down 69%. I think Hive Mapper is going to do good in this bull run, just my opinion. Not really positive how high it's going to go, if it's going to go much higher than it was, but I mean, from now to where it was, it's still a 2x, right? Oh, can't really complain there. Let's check out Neoxa. Neoxa is a good, you guys don't know what this is, gaming token. I think it's going to do good things. Ooh, it's down quite a bit. You know what? I am going to swap my rigs today. I'm going to get enough for 2 nodes if I can, I think. Might as well. because I have all my stuff mining Pyron Hash over to unmineable, stacking Caspa, just because I think that's gonna be the best play for me personally. But this right now, mining something that's doing okay into something that's super low is the best way to gain the most coins. That's just my opinion. So you know what, I might do that today. All right, anyways guys, listen, I love you all. My throat's killing me, so I'm gonna stop talking. Hopefully you guys have a great, happy, and safe Monday. We're gonna get over to Miss Randy Hipper stream. She's gonna be live in about 10 minutes. I appreciate you all, Joker Miner, and I think it was it Andrew Masad that gifted the other membership? I appreciate you both a lot. Thank you so much. Andrew Masad, it was you. Thank you. You guys are awesome for everything. Everybody being here. Hit that like button. Appreciate you all. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And peace out.
Perfect.